Hello and welcome to Homeschool Together. If you're like me, you're freshly showered, you got your going out shirt, and you're ready to do some speed dating with books. Nothing more exciting than speed dating with books.
Today is our alternate spine episode we told you about. We were going to talk about all of the other potential spine books you could use if you're doing either Build Your Library or Torchlight K, or doing them together. So we got a lot to go through. But first there was a request to show our public library shopping bag. Yes, I got this library bag. This is the bag Matt got me for my birthday. I really love it because it is corduroy.
It's a wonderful gray lavender. Perfect.
I like it for a few reasons.
You don't make a lot of splashes, but it's very functional.
It has my library card pocket, so I enjoy that.
This should be a video of itself. This could go viral in the homeschool community.
And then on the inside, there's a zipper pocket. Ooh. The thing I like the most about this bag...
But look at this interior design.
It's very pretty.
I have not seen a husband pick such a great bag out ever.
Well, the thing I like about it does snap, but I love that it's corduroy because I have literally stuffed it to the seams with books, and it has held up for all of them. So we'll put a link down in the show notes to the one that Matt got me for my birthday, and if you're needing a library bag, then you can get it.
I didn't get that. That was a Fred Meyer special.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we'll put a link to something similar.
It's like a boutique bag.
Well, anyways, somebody asked us to show it, so we're showing it. So we have a ton of books to go over today. Don't worry, you don't need to write this down. There will be links in the show notes below for all of our books. We also will put these on bookshop.org. So if you think you might want to purchase any of these books to help augment your curriculums or have around your house for reference, we'd love it if you'd use our links. It helps to support our show, our podcast, and our YouTube channel. So
let's get into it. We got a lot of books.
Start with the atlases. Atlas-I, we don't know.
Atlas-I, yeah, maybe, I don't know. National Geographic Kids Student World Atlas.
So this is another alternate atlas. If you remember, Build Your Library uses the Lonely Planet Kids Atlas. Torchlight uses the Smithsonian Children's Atlas from National Geographic. This is a different atlas. This is a bit more of what I'd call like a classic textbook atlas because it's going to have your topographical maps,
climate, population, big,
then your political maps. So this is more kind of a more standard reference type of atlas. But if this is something that you'd gravitate more towards, I also think this is something that maybe your student would have around, that they would use if they wanted to have a personal reference atlas. This is a fine choice. We just wanted to show it to you. I don't think that I'd recommend this over the other atlases.
But it's kind of like an old school Rand McNally map.
Right, but it's a good atlas, and so if you see it on thrift or on sale or something, and this is a fine selection, I don't know that I'd say get it above the other ones, but we wanted to show it to you.
Smithsonian Children's Illustrated Animal Atlas.
You loved the Smithsonian Children's Atlas we showed you for Torchlight, but you're doing Build Your Library that has animals. Here is the combination of these. Yeah. This is beautiful. So it has all of the same beautiful graphics as the other Smithsonian Atlas, but instead of focusing on country borders, they are shown in dotted lines. It focuses on biomes. So it focuses on different areas. It's going to focus on this desert or this jungle and talk about all the animals in it. If I had known about this before we started this combo, I would have gotten this rather than buying the Wild Animal Atlas that's called out in Build Your Library. I would have used this with the Torchlight Smithsonian Atlas and use these together. I think it would be a wonderful combo. So this is an awesome atlas if you're going to be adding animal studies in for Build Your Library.
Well, in these type of books,
get this one.
They really help you narrow down the choice of which animal to focus on. Because a lot of times you think about hey, focus on an animal in this area, and you're like, I don't know what animals are in that area.
Yeah, see, I think it's better because the Wild Animal Atlas it is also a National Geographic, but the one that's recommended for Build Your Library only covers a couple of animals. It doesn't give a lot of maps. This one is a much better atlas. So if you're going to dive into animals, get that one. Absolutely. And that's what I would do if I was doing it again.
Continuing with DK, because we love DK. Where on Earth Atlas?
Okay. Talk about the coolest atlas I have ever seen.
There are a couple different flavors of this book.
There's a couple of history ones and a dinosaur one. We have them all. We'll talk about those on a different show. This, if you love a good infographic, this atlas, I mean, talk about like beautiful graphics. And then there's ones where they have like population maps with like spikes.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a good one.
At night, like a map
Yeah,
at night.
yeah.
Just
And
different ways to look at the same
different
area.
ways to look at all these same cultures. I think there's one.
There's a little bit of an elevation change here.
Right. These are gorgeous. If you want to look at things in a different way. Oh yeah, the population one.
So you find where everyone lives.
Yeah, if you want to look at the map in a different way, this is not appropriate for a kindergartner.
It's a little bit of above their level.
We have this, and we didn't use it at all this year when we did it with our kinder. So if you have a kinder, I don't think that this is appropriate, but great investment for your homeschool. We bought it just because I knew this is going to be something we are going to refer to year after year after year as she gets a little older.
Yeah, especially when we come back on this with our older.
She'll be 8.5.
She'll be ready for this.
So yeah, if you've got older students coming with you, I think this is a terrific get. This DK Where on Earth Atlas.
And we really like the whole thread of these books that we've got.
Right. The other ones are like When on Earth, it's all history stuff, and then there's one Where on Earth, it's all dinosaurs. We'll talk about those on another show.
So United States Atlas.
So we wanted to talk about this one because most of you are in the United States, and this is a really great kids atlas for the U.S. We own this book, and I'm glad that we do.
Yeah.
It gives lots of details about all the states. You can also get this one from your library if you're doing the U.S. Yep. It's nice to be able to take a little bit deeper dive on our own country. Yep. While we usually do this right at the beginning of the study.
This one we have is a paperback.
Yeah, so this is just a really nice reference kids atlas that's focused on the U.S. So we wanted to just show it as a good supplement for those U.S. families.
And we recommended, I think, in our original video on North America, when you did do the United States, to focus on kind of the region you were in. Right. And pair it. We have the First Nations book as well that we like to pair with, so you can really focus on things that are in your area, because it's hard to touch all 50 states. It's such a big country, so many things to talk about. Really focusing on your state, like Washington, Oregon, Idaho, like in our kind of region is kind of a good focus for you if you are going to be doing that. So getting a book like this can really get you that depth.
Yeah, it was nice. We did the U.S. kind of in regions, and this is really helpful. You can go back and see our U.S. United States study video in this Touring the World series if you want to check that stuff out. But I think that's a good reference.
Lovingly referred to as the yellow books, the kids' first big fill in the blank. So in this case, it's the ocean.
This is the book of the ocean. There's a bunch of these yellow books. What I love about these...
I'll show you the other one here. Yeah. This is the book of the world.
Okay. So what I love about these ones is these are perfect for really little. If you got your kindergarten, first grader you're doing this with, these are awesome. It's a great introduction to the continents in a very, early elementary kid-friendly way. Yeah. Big pictures,
especially early readers.
Colors.
Early readers could maybe
this is perfect.
Nibble on this a little.
So for a lot of the books we talk about, it's like, well, it's really neat, but it's kind of better for older learners. These are better for younger learners. So I really like this one's just kind of a general tour of the continents, very big overview of the world, which is perfect for kinder.
And this one's the oceans.
And the oceans is nice because it does break it up by ocean and by region, and I think it dovetails really well with what you're learning. Because I think it's kind of funny that we do this around the world study, and we talk about all these countries, but we don't actually talk about the oceans.
Very rarely.
Which is like 75% of the planet. So anyways, I think that's a really great way to bring that in and bring a little bit of ocean study in as you're studying different areas in the world. So if you have really young ones, check out these yellow books because they're really perfect for that age.
We have about 7 or 8 of these. There's a Space One, Dinosaurs, there's a few others. And we just have them. We always refer to them as the yellow books. They're on the corner. So if
they're always really cheap.
If you're thrifting, look for the yellow end.
Yes, you can usually get these oftentimes for like under $10, like $8.50, $9. So I think they're a good investment. Certainly look at your library if you don't want to buy them, but I think they're great.
Atlas Adventures, Wonders of the World.
Okay, so for Torchlight, they have 2 Atlas of Adventures books that they call out as spines. There's the Atlas of Adventures and Atlas of Animal Adventures. Both are great. When we were doing this, I couldn't find the Atlas of Animal Adventures. It was like sold out. So I ended up getting this, which is the same series, but the Wonders of the World. It's done just the same as the others, but it...
We've been there.
Oh, yeah, this is beautiful.
Oh, we've been there.
Yeah. Yes, but it highlights a specific, world... like almost a World Heritage site. Yeah. And that specific location.
And then all the details around it.
I think it's awesome.
It's something that we dipped into maybe every, 3 or 4 stops. Yeah. We would pull this book out. So it's not something you're going to use all the time.
Right. It's not for every country, but it's enough of them that I think it's worth buying.
It touches every continent, I think, at least 2 or 3 times.
It does. This is a more expensive book, but I think these are great to get on those buy 2 get 1 free sales that happen periodically in Amazon or Target.
Also, this is something I found my young learner just going through all the time because every single page has so much to look at, so much to find, and there's all these little hidden Easter eggs on every single page. So it's well worth just having on the shelf.
You could get one or two or all three of these.
It's really tall. The form factor is really tall, so we had to put it in sideways on our shelf. So
yeah, just be prepared. But you know, get one or two or all three. They're all good. But if you see one of them that's on sale, I just wanted to show you this was another option because it's also great.
All right, our sticker book that we actually used.
Right, so we didn't use I think it's the Lonely Planet Kids sticker book that was called out in Build Your Library because I had heard not great things about it.
Barefoot Books World Atlas sticker book.
So we used the Barefoot Books World Atlas. This was great. This was a good sticker book. Our daughter really enjoyed it. You can show some of the... Comes with a big world map that you can put on the wall. And then it's got lots of stickers in the back.
Yeah, it's something to read on it. It's not just like doing the flag book that we showed.
Right, it was just like flag stickers.
It's just flags. But there's at least something to read on every page, so like you can tell like there's just something to do and something to read. And
it's depending more like like a condensed atlas, and then it has stickers.
Doing this on the overview weeks where you're like getting into a new continent, this was a cool time to do this. And then obviously there was this big map as well that has full of just a ton of information and really cool graphics and stuff. So we like this one.
I think this is good. The one thing you'll have to remember if you use this is that they didn't have the same regional breakup as the one that is called out in the Build Your Library curriculum. So you might have to be a little creative some weeks with which place you do. But we found it fine, and we liked the dynamic colors in this one better than the one that was recommended.
The Usborne, the Great Animal Search.
So if you're doing Build Your Library and with that focus on animals, this is awesome. So this search is done.
I like this book because it actually has a padded feel. If you
it's a padded
feel. It's just
so if you love look and finds, if your kids really like that, this is great. Not only is it beautiful, it goes by continent and then sometimes into like a sub-region. So that's the North Pacific Ocean.
African plains.
A
lot of times it just chooses really famous biomes.
Right.
And then they put all the creatures. I mean, this is like Graham base level drawings and artwork here. I mean, it's just works of art.
So it was really fun. Our daughter would just love to pour through these and really get into the animals. And sometimes she found animals through this, which were the ones she wanted to do her research paper on. So if you're diving into animals, I think this is a really fun book to add. Certainly not required, but we really liked it.
Something nice to look at, and also with the younger one, our younger one likes to do look and finds, and something also interesting for her to do as well. So if you're trying to like pair a younger child or even just an older kid.
And I found these at Thrift before, so really look for any of these. They have the great blah 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 search. There's a castle one, there's a dinosaur one. Look for the Usborne books definitely when you're out.
National Geographic Animal Encyclopedia, just really nice thing to have sitting around.
Yes, if you're doing the Build Your Library.
Did they say 2,500 animals?
Right. So if you're going to do the Build Your Library with that focus on animals, this is a great reference book for you to have. So your child chooses the animal they want to do, then you can flip through this book, find out information, they can write their pages right from here. So for those of you who are wanting to do this screen-free, I know that a lot of the animal research, usually we end up like going to YouTube or going to the internet looking up that animal, but you could use this in an alternate way. Our daughter just loved to pour through these pictures because it's gorgeous. It's National Geographic. I think that this is a book that is great for us to. This is a good like long-term homeschool investment for us to have this book at our house.
It's very weighty. You feel like you're getting a lot with it, but it's also paperback, so it's not too expensive.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a great one to invest in for your homeschool, especially if you're going to be doing the animal research.
Absolutely. Wonderful. All right.
That's it for the Atlas type, encyclopedia type stuff.
Well, this was my favorite book.
Yes, mine too.
DK, Countries of the World. It's probably
our World in Pictures series.
Probably one of the best info books that we use. We used it all the time. I don't know if we ever talked about this. I think we brought it up.
We talked about it a couple times. It is our favorite alternate. What we found was when we started working with the atlases that they didn't really cover every country, and we wanted a bit more. We found this: every country gets at least a half-page spread. So, like here's Belize, for example. It gets a map. There's a little bit of information about the country, some high-level stuff, and a couple of key facts to remember about the country and their flag.
Great to launch YouTube. If you're doing a little bit of a research or doing some Google searches on YouTube, this was a lot of times whenever we were going into that country, this was kind of the first thing I would do when I would start doing some YouTube videos is I would just pull this open and I would read this real quick, look at what was going on, and then Google search these few things that they talked about with that country, and lo and behold, There's always something that pops up.
It's great because it gives this overview of every country.
And then
doesn't skip any.
Some larger, more popular countries get big spreads.
So there's big spreads, but nobody gets less than half a page, which I think is great. So if you've got these tiny little countries and your kids want to know more about them, it's a DK book, and the graphics are just gorgeous throughout this book. If there's one book out of this whole video that I think you should buy, it's this one. This is our favorite by far, and I'm so happy we had this book throughout the whole study.
Especially if you're grouping areas that have in regions, and you're going to maybe skip over a couple countries, you can at least show the countries here and flip through them, or do a quick reading, see if there's something interesting that might capture them, and then go into it. I just love this book. This was one of the ones I don't think it ever left the basket. So
yeah, this was great.
Big
this
recommendation
was
here.
A must-have for us.
All right, Usborne. See inside world religions. So
as
you're going around the world, you're going to run into a lot of different religions. I know we are secular, but the reality of the world is most of the world is not. And so
and learning about the cultures of other places, their cultures are so often influenced by their religion. So this is cool. This is in the Lift the Flaps series. There's another Usborne book about world religions, but it's for older kids. I like this because this was much more this is still not kindergarten level. I would say maybe it was like second grade level, but still second, third. But this is something that our daughter could pretty much understand. She liked the Lift the Flaps. I think this is a great introduction. So if you're looking for something to introduce your kids to the different religions around the world, I think it's a great place to start.
Nice beginner book. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so we got a couple books of women in the world.
So famous people.
We got ladies. Our dogs are ladies. We got ladies. I make the joke, I need to get a fish that's a dude.
Yeah. So if you did Torchlight and you had the 101 awesome women around the world, we weren't super fans of that for kindergartners because it seems a bit high level, and maybe more complex than kinder. But if you have older kids, if you especially love that book, this is 101 awesome women who changed the world in science. Which is cool.
And so, we're a STEMmy family, so this was kind of like right to our heart.
Great. So if you really want to influence your kids towards that STEM, show women doing great things in science and math,
force them into STEM.
So if you want to do all of that, and your kids really like this book, I think these are great books. We own this book. I'm glad we have it.
Because you're getting 101 women, I think they, a vast. You can touch a lot of countries that way. Like 40 or 50, I think, countries are represented.
You can do a really good job. You have to do a little bit of research. It doesn't say in the book exactly what country everyone's from, so you will have to go through and look that up beforehand. But I think it's really great. We love the other book too. It's just not kinder appropriate. So these books are more like mid-elementary. If you're taking a mid-elementary kid along with you on this ride, these are great.
These are really good.
So that, and then there's two.
We got two.
They're both done by the same author.
Same styling, you can see.
So there's this is Women in Science: 50 Fearless Pioneers Who Changed the World.
These are women's in sports.
And same for sports. I love the sports one. We actually got that one first. Yeah. But the drawings, it's all just very unique. It's still that high level information about what this woman accomplished.
Bio on the side,
But I love all the graphics. It was more engaging for our daughter. So if you love these kind of books where they tell the great stories of women doing amazing things, these are really cool.
And again, 50 women, you probably touch, a couple dozen countries. So you'll be able to pull these books off the shelf pretty frequently. So
so Women in Science and Women in Sports.
Absolutely.
Another great one if your kids really get into those.
Another yellow book. This one is the Big Book of Who.
So those ones are all great for kids that are a little bit older. But if you're looking for a great book about famous people around the world for little kids, this is perfect. This is great. Our daughter loved this. As a kindergartner, we could read through. This has a mix of men and women from different countries that, were famous, changed the world in some way. It's very high level. And we read one that I was like, that's not entirely clear and accurate, but it's for little kids. So, take it with a bit of a grain of salt. But I think it's a good starting place if you want to talk about some famous people and what they did for the world. And a lot of these people, you might be able to find companion picture books to go with.
Yes.
That you can use to enhance that study.
Yeah, that's a great point, because a lot of times with the children's books, that as you're going through and you're pulling more books for whatever country it is, you'll find people in these books that are referenced in those. So
exactly.
Nice way to go there. Another Usborne recommendation: stories from around the world. We always talk about we don't really like folk stories very much. We did like this book.
Yes, this book was good. These stories were less weird than the Year Full of Stories and Year Full of Animal Stories.
It didn't come up as often. I think there might be 30 or something stories in here. So Yeah.
I'm not sure if this one's still in print. This one might be out of print, but you can get it often. I've seen it used many times, so we wanted to show it to you, even if I don't remember if it's still in print.
It's about 4 pages each story, so 2 pages
They
basically.
were shorter, and they just weren't as strange.
Yeah. Nice little drawings, but mostly words, so hit or miss. We like this one. We read this one. We own this one. So.
Yeah, this is the one that was the Build Your Library story for Around the World for the original edition, and then it was removed in the updated edition. And it might be because it's no longer in print, but I think you can probably easily find it at thrift.
Yep. Art books. We had some issues with the last one.
Right. Global art required a lot of components.
Art and activities.
We like Around the World art and activities.
This is no longer in print.
This is no longer in print. You'll have to buy this used. Or get it from your library. Our library has this one. So we bought it, but you can certainly, what I love about it is it's paper crafts. So if you're a family who always has toilet paper rolls and paper towel tubes and construction paper and paper plates.
Somebody came over and said, why do you guys collect toilet paper tubes? It's like, well, come on over. Let's talk about art and activities.
Right. So this is the book that
This is one of the things that got me to get the art caddy.
Yeah.
We should do a video on that.
Yeah, we probably should. Yeah. So this is it says for ages 3 to 7, and I think that's totally accurate.
Oh, yeah.
These are easy crafts. They don't require a lot of materials, very inexpensive, and our kids had fun, like making an Eiffel Tower out of, what do they make it out of?
I think this cartons or...
No, I think it's maybe pieces of a cereal box.
That's...
construction paper, transparent tape, pencil.
Just
construction paper, and you make an Eiffel Tower. Like, that kind of stuff is the stuff our kids just love. The global art book that is in... So this is from the older edition of Build Your Library.
Issue. It's always a material
issue. But the newer one, it's not just materials in the global art book. Yeah. It's also complexity. I mean, one of those we talked about in the last video required you to buy a fish. An actual real fish to do the art.
You always got fish laying around.
This is very much what I remember crafts being in school, that we always have the materials for because they're just simple paper hand crafts. And our kids really enjoyed them.
And really, let's be honest, the craft activity, it's about a half hour, maybe at the most. Playing with your craft, another 10, 15 minutes. Then they go off and do something. And then you as a parent,
you have to deal with that craft.
Kind of look around. Chuck it. So right. It's like, that's really what you want to do.
There's paint in here. There's gluing stuff.
They all know. They're all laughing. They're like, Matt, you know exactly. I don't let art accumulate.
Well, where are you going to put it?
Where are you going to put it?
So this was good too, because we had a toddler who was coming along who was almost 3, and she could do most of the crafts with us, which I don't think that she would have been able to do with the more extensive books.
Yep.
So like we said, out of print, but most likely at your library, and I know it's used. Mm-hmm. So you could definitely pick up a copy somehow.
Absolutely. So really good one. This is how we do it.
So this is how we do it. So this is going to be in the vein of how do people live their lives in the other countries. We've got a lot of books on this.
Japan, Peru, Iran, Russia, India, Italy, and Uganda.
Right. So this is the story of the lives of 7 children in different parts of the world. This is a book that I probably wouldn't buy. Just go to the library when you're going to do one of those 7 countries. Grab this book because it is really cool. But it doesn't cover like a lot of the world, so I don't think it's worth.
I think we referenced this in a couple of our
it's
videos.
A great book. Yeah. For only 7 countries, if you get it on sale, maybe
just put it on. Yeah, just put it on your list. It's definitely one to get from the library.
Yeah.
So absolutely, we just wanted to reference this because I like the style and
the style was great.
Comparing and contrasting.
Great information. What their life was like, what their home was like, what their hobbies are, all that kind of stuff that helps your child connect to the child in that other country. That stuff is great.
Probably one of the books, one of the spines, that was the biggest hit for our daughter this year.
Maybe the biggest.
Maybe the biggest book is these old DK books. We talked about which one did we talk about? Children Like Me.
Yeah, so it's called Children Just Like Me, and it's looking at the lives of children in these different countries, and it shows their family, what their hobbies are, all this stuff. There's a whole series of these books.
Yeah. But School Like Mine.
Right. I found this at thrift.
And you can see it's actually still in the jacket. I think it was from a
library. So we get that, as homeschoolers, obviously we're not sending our kids to school. But this book focuses on more than just about their school. It's about the child, their home, the sports that they play, the hobbies that they have. It does talk a little bit about school. And I think that even though our daughter didn't go to school in this way, sitting in a classroom all day, it's a little bit different, even though she goes to a parent partnership. But still,
exactly.
I think that she could identify well enough with what school is like in the United States and how it is different in these other countries. It gave enough of a window into what these children's lives are like. And every time we could we could show our child how that other child lives and make those comparisons was the moments we had the greatest learning in this entire around the world journey. So these are the books we really wanted to invest in, the ones that show from a kid's perspective what their lives are like. So this was a good one. And there's another one in the series.
Yep, Celebrations.
Children Just Like Me, and this is the Celebrations book, and this is all about their holidays.
These are holidays. A lot of times those holidays are religious, so if you're a secular family, if that's concerning for you, be aware of that. But we like this one because it did show all these different kind of holidays that these kids celebrate. And obviously it's from the kids' standpoint. So they do reference, if it is a religious holiday, they do talk about the meaning behind the holiday. So take that for what it is worth. But we like this one because a lot of times when we got to these countries and we're reading these books, they are talking about celebrations and they're talking about culture and things that they're doing. So, it was important for us to kind of fold this in. So
for Torchlight, they have the book What Do You Celebrate as part of their spines. That's better for younger learners. This is probably better for maybe a second grade learner, or even a third grade learner. Our daughter really enjoyed it.
It even has that old book smell.
Yes, it has that musty secondhand book smell.
Musty old book smell.
But anyways, this is better for probably an older learner. It might be a great one for you to check out from the library. See if your library has it, and check it out for those specific countries. But this whole series is really great. So any books that you can get that go with that series is awesome.
So this is it. That was our speed dating.
That was everything. That was all the alternate spines we have. So we tried to cover all of the main areas that the curriculums had, right? So the atlas, how people live, animals, famous people in those countries, art, stories.
Hopefully it gave you guys some ideas.
So this is just some food for
so
thought.
Between the 3 videos, I think they'll be able to go out and get the books they need, see the ones that they like.
Yeah, or if you see something at Thrift, you're like, I saw that would work. I can use that.
Yeah, hopefully we showed you enough pictures that you kind of get a gist of what that book's about. Yeah. We loved these. We used them, all the time, all throughout.
With the exception of maybe the very first atlas, the very first Lonely Kids Atlas, or what was it? National Geographic Atlas we showed. We used all the rest of these books with all the other spines that we already referenced.
We were overachievers, Ariel.
But you know what I think is cool about some of these spines is it's just like, we're getting into a new country. I'm going to take that Celebrations book and read 2 pages.
Yeah.
Just 2 pages. It's not a lot of work. Yeah. And so it really worked for us to have a variety of spines.
A lot of times when the way it actually went down was, wasn't broken up over like 5 straight days of, reading little books here and there. A lot of times the way our schedule worked, I was doing a lot of the reading as kind of a bulk activity. So I would pull like 10 spines and read like 1 or 2 pages from each one. And so it would take, an hour or so sitting at the couch, but we would chew through a lot of these spines. And then maybe later in the day, we'd read a couple books. And then maybe another day of the week, we would read 7 or 8 children's books. So we did a lot of things in batching. And I found having a lot of these spines, pulling them out, having the pages ready. It took a little bit of preparation work. So like while the kids are eating, I'm pulling all the spines out. I'm, putting little cards in where they are so that when we sit down, I can just hop right to that page, do the reading, have the discussions on the couch. TV's right there. If something catches them, Daddy, I'd like to know more about that thing. Boom, we pull up a YouTube video on how to do it. So that's kind of how they worked in our homeschool because, we were kind of busy.
Yeah, I think that they're all good. We want to just give you some other options. Yeah. Sometimes something's not available or it's really expensive or you see something at Thrift and you're not sure if that'll work. I would not be afraid to make other choices beyond what the curriculum's got. If you already have a book in your home or you see something at Thrift that's really cheap, like pick it up. Half of these books I got at Thrift over the years and thought, I could use that. And then we did.
It's not the end of the world if you don't have the book.
Right, the exact book that they call out. I think that you can make do with other things as we've shown.
Yeah, because it's very, very rare to something that you're doing specifically call out the content that's in the book. So it's sort of like, in college you could have different editions of the book and you could still get by the class. That's kind of what's going on. And
because this is all country specific stuff, it's not like you're doing history and you've got to find the right time period even. It's like, hey, we're doing Italy. Let's grab all of our books. What's about Italy? Let's, let's look it up in the index for all these books and then we find the right page and we go from there. Yeah. And it's all about cultural exposure. So you might find I think it's great to get these books from the library. And like before you start this, if you're watching this before you've even started, test drive some of these with your learner and see which ones kind of like they understand the language, it's not too complex, that they engage with the graphics, that they're interested before you drop a bunch of money on big spines, unless you just know. I mean, some of these I knew like, well, this is a reference book that we're going to use and we're going to love. But otherwise, if you're not sure, I'd take all these out for a test drive from your library and see which ones click with your learner.
Absolutely. Especially the library, especially in your nice bag that your husband got you.
That's right. You're so sweet.
Oh, anyways, hope you guys have a great time. We'll be back in a couple weeks with another video.
Yeah, we're going to be talking more about the chapter books. We're going to talk about Torchlight K versus Build Your Library Zero. We did a podcast episode all about it, but we're going to talk more in depth too about how we organize the combo. I've got my binders to show y'all. And
I can see one right there.
Yes, and we're going to talk about the chapter books and what we wish we knew before we started. That one we're going to have to discuss a little bit because I have my thoughts. I know you have your thoughts too about the things we wish we knew. But we know this is a popular combo and we're trying to give it the most comprehensive coverage we can.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned.
See you guys.